Cancer, the cardinal water sign ruled by the moon, is often shrouded in comforting clichés and simplistic stereotypes. Home-loving, emotional, maternal. But what the world so often fails to grasp is the depth of this sign's inner fortitude, its warrior heart hidden behind the sanctuary of its shell. What nobody understands about Cancer, but absolutely should, is that its softness is not weakness, but armor forged through tides of relentless emotion, ancestral memory, and unwavering dedication to those it loves. To be born under Cancer is to be born with an ancient soul, one that feels not only for itself but for every echo of pain in the collective human ocean. Cancers are lunar beings, responding to the rhythms of unseen forces. Their intuition is not mere feeling, it is an elemental knowing, a primal compass that guides them through a world that often undervalues sensitivity. And yet, in a paradox both cruel and divine, this very sensitivity becomes their greatest strength, because they do not turn away from emotion. They master it, they endure it, they survive through it. The journey of Cancer is not an easy one. It is not made for spotlight chases or applause-seeking. Their victories are quiet, their battles internal, their growth often invisible to the outside world. People see the family they have created, the business they have nurtured, the home they have built, the resilience they exude. But few see the heartbreak they transformed into wisdom, the betrayals they chose to forgive, the nights they stayed awake worrying about everyone but themselves. No one sees the tears cried in silence, the dreams deferred for the sake of others, the tenacity it takes to keep showing up with love in a world that often doesn't reciprocate. What the world fails to understand is that Cancer is not just a nurturer. It is a builder, a strategist, a silent force of nature. Their minds are brilliant, their instincts unerring. They build legacies, not for glory, but to ensure others have shelter from the storm. They carry the weight of generations, often acting as the emotional backbone of families, communities, and teams without ever demanding credit. They do not climb ladders. They construct their own foundations. And when they reach the top, after years of sacrifice, struggle, and self-doubt, people only see the result, not the relentless emotional labor it took to get there. Cancers are not passive. They are initiators. They begin things with care and carry them with grit. They are the ones who feel deeply and still act decisively, who walk into the battlefield of life with their hearts unarmored and still manage to endure. Their emotional intelligence is not a trend, it is a weapon. They read between the lines, understand what is unspoken, sense danger before it arrives, and offer refuge before it's asked. That kind of perception cannot be taught. It is earned through lifetimes of being underestimated, dismissed, and still showing up with grace. The sign of Cancer is the sign of the sacred protector. They are the ones who will fight like hell for the people they love, even if it breaks them. They are not weak. They are not overly sentimental. They are fierce because they know the cost of love. They understand that true connection is a risk, that vulnerability is a battlefield, and they are brave enough to step onto it again and again. What no one sees is that while others are chasing power, Cancer is cultivating strength. While others are seeking validation, Cancer is building meaning. While others are trying to shine, Cancer is becoming the moonlight that makes others feel seen. They will never beg to be understood, but they deserve to be, because what Cancer achieves in silence could humble even the loudest champions. Their success, when it comes, is always born from depth, from the 1,000 times they could have given up and didn't, from the wounds they healed on their own, from the faith they placed in love over and over, even when the world gave them every reason to close off. To understand Cancer is to understand that behind every tender act is a story of survival. Behind every comforting gesture, a lesson learned the hard way. They are not here to impress. They are here to matter. And they do more than anyone realizes. They are the heartbeat of legacy, the cradle of intuition, the guardians of emotional truth. What the world overlooks in Cancer is often what it most desperately needs. To be Cancer is to carry the ocean inside and still choose to flow instead of drown. That is not weakness. That is mythic strength. That is heroism. And that is a truth the world must come to honor. Cancer is often misunderstood because it does not clamor for recognition in the way that fire signs blaze or air signs articulate their brilliance. It operates beneath the surface, in the rich terrain of emotion, memory, and legacy. Yet this subterranean realm is not a place of passivity. It is the forge where true power is born. Cancer is the guardian of the past, the bearer of ancestral wisdom, the keeper of the emotional blueprint that shapes entire generations. What goes unnoticed is their profound relationship with time. Not linear time, but cyclical, sacred time. They remember what others forget. They carry the soul memory of what was, in order to shape what must become. Ruled by the moon, Cancer does not move in straight lines. Their path is lunar, spiraling, flowing, waxing and waning, always in tune with the subtle shifts of energy. This means their growth is not always visible. They expand inwardly before they express outwardly. The world, addicted to speed and surface, often overlooks the sacred work they are doing in the dark. Cancer teaches that evolution happens in silence, that transformation can be quiet and still be complete. They show us that the strongest beings are not those who dominate the noise, but those who transmute pain into purpose behind closed doors. Their ability to hold space for others is a cosmic gift. Cancer is the emotional alchemist. They take in the wounds of those they love and transfigure them into understanding, into compassion, into actions that heal. What people don't see is how exhausting this can be. It is not easy to be the one everyone turns to. It is not effortless to be the place where others find solace. But Cancer does it anyway, driven not by ego, but by soul. They do not seek to be the hero in the traditional sense. They are the silent savior, the one who keeps everyone else from falling apart while quietly mending their own cracks in solitude. There is unmatched courage in the way Cancer chooses love again and again. In a world that rewards detachment and emotional armor, Cancer's capacity to feel deeply is revolutionary. They do not abandon empathy for the sake of survival. Instead, they integrate it, weaving tenderness into strength. They lead not with dominance, but with devotion. And that form of leadership is vastly underrated. It is the kind of leadership that doesn't burn out those who follow it. It nourishes, it restores, it endures. Cancer is also an architect of energy. Their environment is not accidental, it is curated with intention. They understand the spiritual mechanics of space, how energy moves through a room, how memory lingers in objects, how safety is not a luxury but a necessity. They build sanctuaries, not just physical ones, but emotional fortresses where souls can exhale. They do this instinctively, often without acknowledgement. But the impact is immeasurable. A single safe space created by Cancer can alter the trajectory of a life. That is not small work. That is sacred work. Their relationship with the moon also bestows upon them a deep connection to the divine feminine, not as gender, but as cosmic force. The feminine principle of receptivity, creation, protection, and mystery pulses through every Cancer soul. They are midwives of transformation, ushering others through emotional rebirth. They are not afraid of the dark. They are fluent in it. They know how to sit with pain without trying to fix it prematurely. They know when to speak and when to simply hold. That kind of discernment can only come from lifetimes of emotional mastery. People rarely understand the inner battles Cancer faces because they are so skilled at making others feel secure. But beneath their composed surface lies an ocean that contains multitudes. They feel everything, every word, every gesture, every shift in tone. They absorb the energies around them like tides absorb the pull of the moon. This makes them powerful empaths, but it also means they are vulnerable to emotional fatigue. And yet, even when drained, they will find a way to show up. Even when misunderstood, they will keep loving. Even when unseen, they will keep building. Cancer is a constellation of paradoxes. Sensitive but strong, private but fiercely loyal, deeply nostalgic but profoundly visionary. They carry the past, but they are not bound by it. They shape the future with every act of care, with every choice to nurture rather than neglect, to feel rather than numb, to protect rather than abandon. Their power is not performative. It is primal, It is encoded in the stars. The world may never fully understand the silent strength of Cancer, but the cosmos does. The moon reflects their essence every night, sometimes full and radiant, other times hidden and introspective, but always present, always vital. Cancer teaches us that it is not the loudest who leave the deepest mark, but the most faithful. Those who return to love despite every reason not to. Those who build homes and hearts, not just houses on land. Those who carry the world in their arms without asking to be praised. To be Cancer is to be born of the tide and the womb, of memory and miracle. It is to walk the earth with the grace of water and the might of ancient roots. It is to lead not through domination, but through devotion. That is a kind of greatness the world doesn't always recognize, but the universe never forgets. There is a sacred rhythm in the way Cancer moves through the world, a rhythm so deeply entwined with the unseen that it often goes unnoticed by those who are only looking at surfaces. Yet what appears soft is often forged in the deepest crucibles. Cancer is not simply a sign of nurturing and emotion. It is a vessel of cosmic legacy, a guardian of soul contracts, a sentinel of memory in a world that forgets too quickly. The soul of Cancer is drenched in myth, not the kind that demands grandiose acclaim, but the myth of quiet heroes, of timeless guardians who walk among us clothed in humility and fortified by unseen battles. They are born with an inner compass that is not swayed by trends or noise. This compass is ancestral, rooted in the marrow of the past, whispered into their hearts by generations who came before. Cancer does not only hold memory, it becomes memory. They are the sacred archivists of the emotional truth, those who preserve the essence of what truly matters when everything else crumbles. While others chase what is new, Cancer protects what is eternal. They are entrusted with the emotional DNA of humanity, and they carry it with a silent reverence that few can comprehend. What is not understood is the stamina required to bear that emotional weight. Emotional resilience is not a poetic trait. It is a discipline, a spiritual muscle honed through countless initiations. Cancer knows loss intimately, not because they are drawn to sorrow, but because they are called to understand the entire spectrum of love. They know that to truly nurture, one must first know what it means to be abandoned. To offer shelter, one must have felt the bitter chill of exposure. This depth of empathy is not an accident. It is a cosmic assignment. Their strength lies in their refusal to become hard in a world that often punishes softness. While others shield themselves in armor made of detachment and cynicism, Cancer returns again and again to their original essence: vulnerability with integrity. This is not naivete, it is the most ancient kind of courage. To be open-hearted in the face of betrayal, to create beauty after ruin, to mother the world when no one mothers them. These are the marks of spiritual mastery. Cancer is connected to the divine womb of the zodiac. This does not speak only of motherhood in the physical sense, but of the archetype of creation and gestation. They incubate dreams, nurture visions, protect the sacred spark until it is ready to rise. They are the priestesses and protectors of the inner world, ensuring that what is born into this realm is born through love, not force. Even when unrecognized, they are midwives of miracles. They guide others through their emotional labyrinths, holding the torch of understanding when all other lights go out. There is magic in their silences. When Cancer withdraws, it is not from weakness or avoidance. It is a sacred retreat, a lunar recharging. They are ruled by the moon for a reason. Like the moon, they must wane in order to wax. They regenerate in the shadows. Their solitude is not emptiness, but ceremony. It is during these times that they remember who they are, beyond the noise of expectation. In the stillness, they reconnect with the rhythm of the stars, with the pulse of the ocean, with the soft voice of the soul that tells them, "You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to be a lighthouse for the ones who are lost." There is an epic heroism in their endurance. They do not crash through life, they flow through it with intent. They know when to wait. They know when to act. Their timing is not dictated by ambition, but by intuition. This allows them to create not just temporary victories, but lasting empires of meaning. Their success is built on emotional integrity, and that is why it holds. It does not glitter with false brilliance. It glows with authentic light. Cancer embodies the divine cycle of life, death, and rebirth. They understand that endings are not failures, but gateways. They move through grief like an oracle, finding wisdom in each tear. They do not fear the collapse of what was, because they trust in what will be. This trust is not loud, it is bone deep. It is the kind of trust that comes from knowing you are aligned with something greater than yourself. Cancer does not need to shout their convictions, they live them. They do not seek to convert, they inspire by being. Their presence is a prayer, their care a form of devotion. Even in relationships, they love with a rare purity. Cancer does not love with convenience. They do not love with conditions. They love with their entire being, with loyalty that borders on the mythic. To be loved by Cancer is to be known in ways you did not know yourself. It is to be held in places where you thought you were unlovable. This love is transformative. It is a mirror that shows you your wholeness, even when you feel broken. And yet, they often go unnoticed, their devotion taken for granted. But Cancer does not stop loving just because they are not seen. They love because it is their nature, because it is their power. What many miss is that Cancer is also a visionary. They dream not just for themselves, but for others. They imagine futures in which everyone is cared for, where safety and soul are prioritized over profit and pretense. Their dreams are not lofty ideals. They are blueprints written in empathy. They understand that the world does not change through force alone, but through tenderness that refuses to die. Their vision is not revolutionary in its volume. It is revolutionary in its humanity. Cancer is the ocean that births storms and soothes shores. It is the tide that wears down the stone not with aggression, but with relentless, sacred intention. It is the heartbeat of the cosmos made flesh, walking among us, remembering for us, loving in spite of us. And while they may never ask for recognition, the stars know who they are. The moon sings to them in every phase. The earth roots for them in silence. And the future is shaped by their hidden hands. Cancer is more than a sign of emotion and protection. It is the embodiment of sacred rhythm, the living bridge between the spiritual and the material. While many see Cancer only through the lens of caretaking and emotionality, what remains vastly unspoken is the sign's intrinsic relationship with destiny itself. Cancer is not passive in its connection to the divine. It is an active vessel of soul intention, shaped by lunar cycles and ancient memory to act as the heartbeat of the zodiac's evolution. Cancer does not just feel, it listens to the music of time, and in that silence it shapes futures. There is a cosmic authority to Cancer that has nothing to do with control and everything to do with presence. The presence of Cancer is not built on dominance or hierarchy, but on attunement. This sign listens deeper, sees through veils others cannot perceive, and senses shifts before they materialize. Their wisdom is not loud. It is encoded in instinct, carried through emotional truths too complex for language. Cancer is a sentinel of inner knowing, and that is its greatest armor in a world often ruled by illusion. Cancer possesses a depth of willpower rarely attributed to them. In the zodiac, they are the ones who hold the line, not with brute force, but with unwavering loyalty to their internal compass. Their decisions, though often cloaked in gentleness, are made with immense strength. When they commit, they do so with their entire soul. When they protect, they become immovable. When they love, they become eternal. This form of integrity is not praised enough, but it is the backbone of all sacred legacies. It is the quiet will of Cancer that births generations, nurtures civilizations, and endures when all else fades. Underneath their nurturing exterior lies an indomitable survivor. Cancer has walked through the deepest forms of emotional desolation and has emerged not embittered, but more devoted to life. They have faced abandonment, betrayal, loss, and grief not just once, but in cycles that mirror the moon's phases. And yet, they rise. Again and again, they choose to remain open when closing off would be easier. They choose compassion when vengeance would be justified. This is not fragility, it is transcendence. It is the mark of a soul that has integrated both shadow and light, and who knows that love is the most powerful force there is. The world often overlooks the discipline behind Cancer's loyalty. Loyalty is not an accident for them. It is a path, a commitment to walk beside others even when the road becomes unbearable. This path is filled with sacrifices others never see. The quiet acceptance of being taken for granted, the burden of being the emotional anchor for those who cannot anchor themselves, the constant recalibration of self in order to support another's healing. And still, Cancer carries on, not because they are weak, but because they are chosen by the cosmos to be a vessel for healing. Their loyalty is an act of rebellion in a culture that glorifies self-interest. What also goes unrecognized is Cancer's creativity. Ruled by the moon, they are linked not only to intuition but to imagination. Cancer is a natural channel for creative force. Their art, whether expressed in words, music, food, care, or silence, is infused with soul. It is not art for recognition, it is art for resonance. They create not for applause, but because their essence demands expression. They understand that true creation begins within, that inspiration is not captured but felt. Their creativity is ancestral. It carries the stories of those who came before and gives voice to those who could not speak. Cancer is connected to land, to body, to water, to cycles. Their wisdom is seasonal, rooted in natural law. They may not always be able to explain why they move when they move or stop when they stop, but they are following a rhythm older than language. In this, they are mystics, practical mystics whose spirituality is lived rather than spoken. Their rituals may be hidden in everyday life, in the way they cook, clean, comfort, and hold. But make no mistake, these are holy acts. Cancer sanctifies the mundane. They remind us that divinity is not only found in cathedrals or stars. It is found in the way one cares for a child, waters a plant, tends to a wound, and within them, there is a quiet prophecy. Cancer is a sign that remembers the future. They sense what is coming not through logic, but through their bones. Their connection to cycles means they can anticipate shifts in energy, emotional climates, and relationships with uncanny precision. This prophetic gift is often dismissed because it doesn't arrive in traditional form. But their foresight, their sense of timing, their ability to feel what others only later understand, is a divine instrument. Cancer does not guess, they remember, they feel, they know. Even when exhausted, they rarely ask for help. This silence is often mistaken for withdrawal, but it is a sacred solitude. In solitude, Cancer regathers strength not because they want to be alone, but because they know the power of spiritual containment. They are not broken in their quiet, they are rebirthing. They are pulling the threads of soul back into form. Their solitude is not emptiness. It is ritual. It is reclamation. It is a return to the sacred waters from which they draw all life. They are not just lovers of the past. They are architects of memory. They decide what will be carried forward. They choose which stories survive, which truths are honored, which emotions are dignified. In this way, they shape the lineage of feeling itself. Through them, the emotional body of the collective is nurtured, healed, and reimagined. Their value lies not in how loud they are, but in how deeply they feel, and in how fiercely they protect what is sacred. Cancer walks through this world wrapped in lunar grace, driven not by conquest but by care. And though the world may not always notice their quiet revolutions, the spirit realm watches with reverence. The ancestors walk with them. The moon lights their path. The tides answer to their soul. And history, though slow to record them, is shaped by their hands. They are not here to be understood by the surface. They are here to rewrite what it means to be strong. They are not merely the sign of home. They are the guardians of the soul's return. Cancer holds within its essence a sacred contradiction that few understand and even fewer appreciate, the ability to be both the sanctuary and the storm. This sign, so deeply attuned to the moon, does not merely ebb and flow emotionally. It embodies the rhythm of the cosmos itself, bending not to social norms or external validation, but to the celestial pulse of soul timing. Cancer is a living testament to the truth that the strongest structures are not forged by stone alone, but by those who know how to bend without breaking, to soften without surrendering, to hold immense emotional gravity while appearing still and serene on the surface. One of the most overlooked aspects of Cancer is its capacity for strategy. Often dismissed as overly sentimental or reactive, Cancer in truth possesses a brilliant tactical mind, one that functions like the tides, precise, measured, unstoppable. Unlike more outwardly assertive signs, Cancer plans in silence. They act when the moon says it is time. Their moves are not for show, they are for survival, for sacred protection, for legacy. There is nothing accidental about their journey. Even their detours serve a divine purpose. Even their delays are chosen intuitively to align with higher destiny. They are not lost, they are aligning. This sacred alignment allows Cancer to build lives of profound emotional richness. They are natural cultivators of abundance, not always in terms of material wealth, though many achieve it, but in emotional, spiritual, and psychological wealth. They build homes that become havens. They build families that become soul tribes. They build dreams that feed others long after they themselves are gone. This is not small work. This is legacy in its truest form. And yet, because so much of this is done quietly, behind the veil of public display, many overlook the sheer magnitude of what Cancer has accomplished. Not just in their own lives, but in the lives of everyone they touch. They are deeply tied to the idea of spiritual inheritance. Cancer is the keeper of the soul contract, the one who understands the invisible ties that bind people across lifetimes. When they love, it is rarely casual. It is cosmic. It is as if they remember something ancient in another's eyes. This ability to sense karmic connection is both a blessing and a burden. Cancer knows who they are meant to care for, even when it is difficult, even when it costs them comfort. This inner knowing drives their relationships, their loyalty, their grief, and their triumph. It is not a matter of logic, it is soul memory in motion. What is rarely spoken of is the sacred rage of Cancer. While they are often seen as gentle and nurturing, their shadow side carries the fury of the divine feminine in its purest form. This is not chaotic anger, it is protective wrath. It is the energy of the mother bear, the ancestral matriarch, the lunar warrior who defends what is sacred without hesitation. When Cancer reaches this place, they are unstoppable. Their anger is not rooted in ego, but in justice. It is the cry of generations echoing through their blood. It is sacred fire encased in water, released only when the soul demands rebalancing. To witness this power is to understand that Cancer is never to be underestimated. Their relationship with pain is another place of great power. Cancer does not run from hurt. They absorb it, examine it, feel it fully, and in doing so, they alchemize it. They are emotional shapeshifters, turning heartbreak into wisdom, turning sorrow into art, turning abandonment into self-devotion. Their scars do not fade, they glow. And in that glow, they light the path for others still lost in the dark. They are the torchbearers of the emotional underworld, guiding others home through a labyrinth only they have mastered. Their pain is not a prison, it is a passage. And those who have walked through that fire with integrity emerge not weaker, but reborn. Cancer is also a master of thresholds. They understand the in-between spaces, the moments before the beginning, the breath after the end, the silence that follows transformation. They are not afraid of the liminal. In fact, they thrive there. They walk between worlds, between the seen and unseen, between the physical and the etheric. In these thresholds, they find messages others miss. They hear the whispers of spirit, they feel the pull of destiny, and they act accordingly. Their timing may confuse those who operate only in the physical world, but in the realm of energy, Cancer's precision is divine. There is a sovereign quality to their emotional independence that is rarely acknowledged. Though deeply relational, Cancer does not depend on others for identity. They know who they are in solitude. They know their worth in silence. And when they choose to connect, it is not out of need, but out of overflowing fullness. They do not chase, they magnetize. They do not beg, they attract. Their energy, when aligned, is a gravitational field. Those who come near are not drawn to superficial charm, but to the profound feeling of being seen, known, held, and healed. Even in their quiet, Cancer speaks volumes. Their energy teaches without instruction, comforts without words, loves without demands. Their very presence is transformative. Just being near them shifts energy. They transmute rooms, recalibrate dynamics, and inspire emotional honesty in others. And they do all of this simply by being themselves, not in performance but in authenticity. The depth of that offering cannot be measured in applause, but it echoes in the soul long after the moment has passed. Cancer is not here to follow the path of the warrior who conquers through domination. They are here to walk the path of the guardian who protects through wisdom, feeling, and devotion. They are not meant to be understood by the masses because their work is not of the surface world. It is soul work, ancestral work, lunar work. They are emissaries of the Divine Mother, regardless of gender, sent to restore the emotional ecosystem of humanity. They walk with the tides, speak in the language of dreams, and carry the ocean in their bones. And even when the world forgets the source of its healing, Cancer remembers. They always remember. Within the astrological wheel, Cancer remains one of the most mystically misunderstood signs, cloaked in layers of depth that stretch far beyond sentimentality or emotional perception. What few grasp is that Cancer is not merely governed by the moon. They are the moon in motion, carrying not only its light but its shadows, its tides, and its secrets. Cancer is the lunar guardian of soul evolution, charged with holding memory not only for the self, but for the collective, for the bloodline, for the ancestral wound and the ancestral blessing alike. Every heartbeat within Cancer echoes with the weight of timelines, of stories untold, of sacred knowledge passed through feeling rather than language. There is a cosmic paradox at the heart of Cancer, an eternal home within a soul that is constantly called to rebuild. They are both the origin and the renewal, the source and the restoration. And yet this sacred rebuilding is so often invisible because it happens within. It happens in the quiet hours before dawn, in the long nights when the world sleeps and the Cancerian soul turns inward to tend the wounds no one else will touch. This sign does not wait for others to give permission to feel. They feel so that others might one day learn how. They love not because it is returned, but because the act of love itself is holy. That alone makes them rare, but the world does not yet know how to revere those who carry emotional power as their sword. Cancer is also the keeper of the sacred yes and the sacred no. In a world that demands endless availability, endless exposure, endless output, Cancer teaches the divine rhythm of retreat. When they withdraw, it is not weakness, it is preservation. When they go silent, it is not rejection, it is restoration. In their refusal to abandon their emotional integrity for the sake of pace or applause, they model the forgotten art of sovereignty. They remind the world that one's energy is not for consumption. It is for offering, and only when the soul says it is time. That act alone of choosing self-respect over validation is revolutionary. The journey of Cancer is never linear. It loops, it spirals, it mirrors the moon itself, waxing and waning through phases of expansion and contraction. Unlike signs that chase external markers of progress, Cancer grows from within, fertilizing their dreams in private until they are ready to bloom in sacred timing. There is no rush in their evolution. Each phase of their life reflects a deeper spiritual purpose, whether understood by others or not. They can appear still on the outside while entire universes are shifting beneath the surface. And when they rise, when they finally emerge, they do so with the force of tides breaking through centuries of resistance. That kind of emergence is not fragile. It is unstoppable. What is rarely acknowledged is Cancer's relationship with divine intelligence. Their intuition is not merely emotional, it is multidimensional. They read spaces, feel timelines, perceive energy fields in ways that defy logic. They are visionaries of the invisible, often receiving insight through emotion, sensation, or inner knowing long before reason can comprehend. This makes them natural channels, empaths, and seers, not because they seek to be, but because they are. Their very biology is attuned to what cannot be spoken. Their nervous system absorbs and translates what others ignore. And while this can overwhelm them in an unhealed state, once integrated, it becomes a superpower. Their path is not only about nurturing others. It is also about reclaiming the right to nurture themselves. This is the sacred turning point in Cancer's evolution, when they learn that their worth is not measured by sacrifice, but by their ability to honor their own emotional architecture. When a Cancer learns to mother themselves with the same care they offer to others, they become unstoppable. Their healing becomes exponential. Their intuition sharpens. Their boundaries strengthen. They no longer collapse into roles, they rise into purpose. And in that rising, they teach others how to do the same without ever preaching a word. Cancer also embodies emotional alchemy. They can transmute pain into wisdom, despair into devotion, longing into legacy. They know how to hold paradox, to grieve and love at once, to fear and believe at once, to break and still build at once. This emotional range is not dysfunction, it is mastery. It allows them to hold others without judgment, because they have held every version of themselves in their own arms. That kind of compassion cannot be taught. It is forged in the soul through lifetimes of heartbreak, resilience, and renewal. It is the very foundation of sacred leadership. Though Cancer may appear gentle, their presence can be commanding. There is a quiet magnetism about them, an authority rooted in emotional truth. People turn to them when the illusion shatters, when the masks fall, when the soul is raw and searching. Not because Cancer promises answers, but because they promise presence. They will sit with the wound. They will hold the silence. They will not look away. And that, more than anything, is what heals. Their connection to water is not just symbolic. It is elemental. Water remembers, and so does Cancer. They are memory incarnate. They carry the emotion others cannot hold. They remember the laughter no one recorded, the heartbreak no one acknowledged, the moments in history that shaped generations but never made it to books. Their body stores it. Their tears release it. Their creativity transforms it. They are emotional archivists, keeping the soul of humanity alive through cycles of forgetting. Cancer's presence in the world is a holy reclamation. They are the proof that softness is not surrender, that emotion is not fragility, that nurturing is not weakness. They are here to rewrite the story of power, to remind us that the most profound influence comes not from dominance, but from depth, not from speed, but from resonance, not from status, but from soul. Their life is not meant to be understood at a glance. It is meant to be felt through lifetimes. Their path is not a straight road. It is a sacred spiral, leading always inward, leading always home. There is a sacred legacy embedded in Cancer that few recognize, and even fewer are able to interpret without projecting shallow archetypes onto it. Cancer is not simply the caretaker or the nurturer in the domestic sense. Cancer is the preserver of soul memory through time, the guardian of the inner temple that others are too afraid to enter. They carry the emotional architecture of humanity within their own hearts, not because they sought to, but because the cosmos entrusted them with this task. That kind of spiritual responsibility cannot be taught or explained. It is inherited through lifetimes, etched into the lunar blueprint of their essence. Their emotional language is not a sign of fragility but of sovereignty. It is not a weakness to feel deeply. It is a rebellion in a world that fears vulnerability. The Cancerian soul, shaped by the changing faces of the moon, does not remain stagnant. It adapts, it transforms, it becomes more of itself with every phase. They do not harden to survive, they expand. They do not numb themselves to pain. They become intimate with it, learn from it, let it sculpt their truth. The modern world may celebrate the stoic achiever, but the soul craves what Cancer offers. Emotional honesty, soulful presence, unwavering loyalty to that which is real, no matter how raw. Cancer is not bound by the limits of physical time. Their sense of reality extends far beyond the five senses. They are acutely aware of cycles, of karmic echoes, of the unseen web that ties people together through dimensions. They are naturally psychically attuned not because they chase magic, but because they are magic grounded in flesh. The body of Cancer is not just a vessel, it is an oracle. Their intuition speaks in sensations, in dreams, in waves of knowing that move like tides. They are dreamers who navigate the waking world with the awareness of another realm running parallel to it. Much of Cancer's power is hidden, and this concealment is intentional. They are ruled by the fourth house in astrology, the house of roots, privacy, emotional foundation, and the soul's sanctuary. There is nothing superficial about their path. They are not performers in the theater of life. They are the ones holding the light backstage when the spotlight fails. The ones feeding the fire when others forget what warmth feels like. Their contributions often go unnoticed by those looking for loud declarations or grand gestures, but their impact is indelible. They heal silently. They build invisibly. They transform lives without ever needing to be praised. Their relationship to success is complex and deeply personal. Cancer rarely moves in the same direction as the collective. While others climb ladders, Cancer digs roots. While others chase accolades, Cancer seeks meaning. Their achievements, though monumental, often go unseen because they don't advertise their struggles. They don't ask for recognition. They simply endure. They transform suffering into strength, aloneness into self-reliance, heartbreak into depth. They become fortresses of resilience, not through force, but through the courage to remain soft in a world that demands hardness. And when they succeed, it is not because things were handed to them. It is because they carried the weight of generations and still kept going. There is a maternal or paternal archetype within Cancer that transcends traditional gender roles. They are not simply caregivers, they are emotional architects of generations. Their presence offers safety in a way few others can. To be held by Cancer, even emotionally, is to be seen in one's entirety, accepted not despite one's wounds, but because of them. Their nurturing is not passive, it is soul recalibrating. They know when to comfort and when to challenge, when to hold and when to release. This discernment does not come from intellect. It comes from empathy honed into wisdom. They are guardians of the divine feminine, not as a gender, but as an archetypal energy. This is the energy that creates, that sustains, that heals, that remembers. Cancer holds the memory of the sacred waters, the amniotic cosmic sea from which all life began. They do not fear darkness because they were born from it. They do not resist endings because they know that within every ending is the seed of a rebirth. While others resist the spiral of growth, Cancer embraces it. They understand that to return to oneself again and again is not regression. It is evolution in its most intimate form. There is a warrior energy in Cancer that is rarely acknowledged. This is not the warrior who charges into battle, sword drawn and voice raised. This is the spiritual warrior who protects what is sacred, who defends truth, who carries the burdens others abandon. Their battles are often internal, fought in silence, but no less heroic. They know what it means to lose themselves and still return, to break and still rebuild, to love after being betrayed. That is not weakness, it is alchemical resilience. They teach the world how to stay when it is easier to flee, how to feel when it is easier to numb, how to remember when it is easier to forget. Their emotional presence is a form of activism, their inner world a source of transformation. They are reminders that the soul cannot thrive in performance, that healing is not a linear process, but a circular journey home. And when they finally choose themselves, when they stop sacrificing their energy for those who refuse to grow, they become legends of healing. Cancer is not here to impress. They are here to embody. They are not here to dominate. They are here to restore. Their life path may seem quiet from the outside, but on a soul level, they are leading revolutions. Every tear they transmute, every boundary they draw, every act of self-preservation they claim, changes the fabric of the energetic world. They are not afraid of being misunderstood, because they are not here for surface recognition. They are here for soul remembrance. They carry the codes of the sacred return, the knowledge that everything begins and ends at home, within. And even when the world forgets its way, Cancer holds the map. Not through words, but through presence. Through love that does not waver. Through courage that does not roar, but whispers. I remember. I endure. I rise.